The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today's YSA and Causetown webinar to learn how your organization can better leverage the people and resources in your own neighborhood. Whether you're in a small town or big city, Dan McCabe will be talking about what Dan will be talking about today is applicable to you. I'm Catherine Gerber, Director of Outreach at YSA, and I'm joined by Dan. He is the co-founder and CEO of Causetown, an online platform that helps people raise funds for local causes while supporting local businesses. Dan has spent time in both the corporate and nonprofit sectors. As a business leadership program associate at Home Depot, Dan devised and launched Framing Hope, a product donation program that has since delivered over $100 million in merchandise to more than 1,000 different nonprofits across the country. He has built similar partnerships while leading fundraising and development at Network for Good, Good 360, and Breakaway, a national youth service organization that he ran for several years at the onset of his career. Dan serves on a variety of nonprofit boards and was chosen as an American Express Independent Sector NGen Fellow in 2011. While you're muted now, Dan and I are hoping that you'll interact with us during the webinar. And there are a couple ways that you can do this. We'll verbally ask you a question, and you can type your answer in the chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. Daisy's already done this. Daisy, thanks for your question. Is there a hashtag for tweeters? And you can use GYSD or tag Causetown or Youth Service. The other way that we'll interact with you is that you can write your questions. Just like Daisy did, you can write your questions in the questions box on the right-hand side of your screen. The piece that I previously mentioned was the chat box that we can also communicate through. So we've got a lot of great things to cover today, so I'll let Dan take it away.
Thanks, Catherine, and thank you all for joining us today. I'll give you kind of a little background on me so you know what perspective I'm bringing. Youth service alone had a profound impact on my personal life, on my career. My freshman year in college, went on an alternative break service trip to a small town in Virginia. And to spare you the details, it really changed me from wanting to focus on being a plain old entrepreneur and making a lot of money to being a social entrepreneur and focusing on impact. And that's really what I spent a lot of my energy doing from that point forward. I ended up running the organization in college as well as some other activities, and still pulled in the entrepreneurship lens. My dad was a small business owner. He was someone who always gave free or deeply discounted products to charities, to friends and family. The only downside was there was never any shortage of good causes, and he ended up going out of business a few years later. I took that and always tried to focus on helping small business owners if I could, and if I could raise money for my organization at the same time, great, all the better. So a simple example, still while I was in college, partnered with a small local bookstore, ended up raising thousands of dollars for alternative break programs in just a matter of hours. So no bake sales or energy-intensive activities, really just tried to focus on things that I and other students were already doing and trying to figure out a way if we could raise money while doing that. That evolved into going back to grad school and coming out of there, trying to figure out, okay, is there a way that we can create change inside huge Fortune 500 companies? And so took the opportunity to enter the business leadership program at Home Depot, and one of my fondest memories was helping to dig through trash, literally, at transfer stations, landfills, you name it, and figured out that we could actually save the company money by donating inventory to charity. We were spending a lot sending it to landfills, and so what's become a $150 million program over the past few years. It started really as a waste reduction initiative, and that's what I hope that you walk away from today, is the idea that businesses, if you create win-win scenarios, they can be a powerful asset to you in promoting your cause and raising funds for it. And then finally, one of the newest things that I've gotten involved with is 6degrees.org. I'd encourage all of you to take a look. It enables you to raise money online through your social networks, but one of our newest initiatives is connecting celebrities to grassroots and volunteer-driven causes, basically those like you. We figure you're doing great work out on the ground and often under the radar, so celebrities, if they can drop in or give a social media shout-out, we try to make it fun and interesting for them, enable them to do it even if it's last minute. We try to work around their crazy schedules, have a sense of what kinds of community events and activities are happening across the country, so that at a moment's notice, if someone says, hey, I've got an extra hour in Austin, Texas, before I start some media interviews, we can plug them immediately into a 5K run for women veterans that wouldn't otherwise have been able to attract that kind of star power. And obviously the cameras follow. So pretty exciting and fun stuff that hopefully you'll hear a lot more about in the months ahead. But enough about me. I'm more curious to know what you want to walk away with today. So when we wrap up our time together in a few minutes, what's going to make you check the box to say it was time well spent? So as Catherine mentioned, if you can enter the questions box on the right-hand side of your screen, or that control panel, just type in what you hope, what you were expecting that we would discuss here today, and we'll try to cover those topics. And I'll ask Catherine to kind of read out any that you're putting in there. And if you'd rather just sit along for the ride, that's great too. But we can easily adjust to cover the topics that you're most interested in. And Catherine, I'm not sure if I've got access to the questions box on my screen, so if any do come through, any specific agenda items that folks want us to cover, can you shout those out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have one from Sanyanika. Thank you for joining us, Sanyanika. And they say, I want to have a better understanding on how to get the support of local businesses. It's a great question.
Great.
I think it's definitely something
feel
we
free
can address today.
Yeah, and feel free to interrupt, stop us, ask questions whenever you feel like it. Even though it's a webinar setting, we'll try to be as interactive as possible. So along those lines, further getting us into the mindset of how do we work with local businesses, what are some of the words that come to mind when you think about business partnerships? Whether it's your role in creating business partnerships, whether it's your personal view on local businesses, what kinds of words come to mind? And again, you can use that same question box to shoot those to us.
Great, and I've got two really good ones so far. Daisy says collaboration, and Guadalupe says win-win. I love both of those.
Great, that's
a couple more. They're money and constraints, says Sonia, and return on investment, says Emily.
Good. So I want to show you a couple words that often come to mind when you ask businesses about charity. Now the pictures in front of you aren't meant to be negative in the way of businesses working with charities, it's meant to show that they have a very narrow view of why and how to work with a nonprofit. They are flooded, bombarded, overwhelmed. Those are words that come to mind when I'm talking to business owners and asking them about how they relate to charity requests and schools and nonprofits, because it's usually to say, please give me money. And often there's not much more than that. It's my cause is great. It's really important. We're doing incredible work. In some cases, they'll add that they're completely volunteer run. They work without pay, fighting the good fight. All of those things are noble and good. But if you want to really partner with a business and open yourself up to a whole new horizon, you've got to go beyond the charity bucket. You can't present yourself as a charity. You are a partner that adds value. You're not a charity that takes it away. And I use those words because that is kind of a prevailing mindset. Again, there are very altruistic business owners, extremely philanthropic and community-minded, that they get it. And so they're not necessarily looking at a charity as a just someone that is a hit to the bottom line. But just like any other human, there are business owners that is all they see. And that's the population of folks that is really an untapped resource for you. And I'll explain why in a few minutes. But if you walk away with nothing else today, I hope that you start thinking of yourself as a partner and trying to figure out what value do you bring, what assets do you have, what can you offer to a business. And I guarantee you that every single person on the line has an asset, has a value that they can offer, and it's likely going underutilized. So what are the assets that you have? How can you be a good partner to a business and present yourself that way? Let's try again, polling the audience. If any of you have done this successfully, or even if it's bringing things to mind here on the call, what are one or two things that your organization, that your cause, that your group can offer to a business as a partner?
Great, and I think that we have one. And you can offer your visibility and your services from Emily. And Guadalupe says, bring more clients that are interested in purchasing their product. That's fantastic. And
Perfect.
all of those things, Dan.
No, and I put down just a few things. This list is virtually endless, especially when you start getting more creative. You touched on bringing in new customers, helping customers be more loyal. There's research out there if you want to look it up. Cone Inc. It's one of the leading firms that looks at consumer behavior and how they pick businesses. And basically what they find time and time again is that 4 in 5 customers want to buy products that benefit a cause. And that percentage just continues to increase. So when you start presenting that kind of research and that data to business owners, they start listening. Those are facts that they can't dispute. Those are hard numbers that show how them giving to charity actually helps their business. Newsworthy stories. They can't send a press release out to say, hey, we're a great local pizza shop, but they can send a press release out to say, we're donating 20% of our proceeds on Global Youth Service Day to any youth charity you choose. So you, as a cause, instantly give them the ability to self-promote. You can provide entertainment, artwork, lots of things directly connected to your mission. Think of these businesses as an alternative venue. If your kids want a chance to perform, or your fellow classmates want a place to do, an environmental education outreach, why not in the middle of hundreds of customers that are dining and thinking about what they do with those straws, what they do with those napkins and plates? It's there front and center, a practical application. Then finally, team building expertise, and in many cases, community or government relations. The business wants to open in a new town or get favorable tax or other types of treatment. They often need the support of the local community. Here are just a few examples of what this could look like. Gift wrapping. This one it comes as a surprise to me, maybe not to you, but businesses, especially during holiday season and Valentine's and things like that, being able to offer a gift wrap service to their customers is huge. Having that service be provided by a charity and requesting donations for that charity, and in some cases the business makes a donation directly to the charity, that's even better for them. So it works out for you. You get visibility in the middle of a store while hundreds, if not thousands of people are making purchases, but you also have a bucket out there collecting donations and the ability to raise money simply through volunteer efforts. Team builders. If you look at Kaboom and Feeding America and other large charities, they do this extremely well. It's fun to interact with nonprofits and volunteer. And even if your specific organization is not well suited to group activities, I would venture to say there's a way that you can offer up and create opportunities to make employee engagement a fun and compelling thing to offer. As I said earlier, educational material. So, a restaurant, what do they put on those table tents? What signs do they have up at the register? What posters do they have on the front door? What banners are they hanging for big holidays? All of those things could be educational material that you're providing. So it benefits you because you're educating the public. It's raising awareness for your cause. And then it's helping the business because it's giving people something interesting to learn about. It shows how they're tied to the community and supporting them. And then perhaps there's some fundraising relationship that goes along with it. But even if that didn't come, think of all the additional people who wouldn't otherwise come into contact with you that you now have access to as potential volunteers or donors, etc. And then this one on the side I thought was fun, simply because I met some folks with Global Youth Service Day that try to teach kids to read and get them excited about learning by using comics. And so what better way than to do that right inside a comic book store and make comic book store owners your friends. And so you could get volunteers to dress up for the day. You could have other giveaways or interactive events. But again, you have the ability to turn an ordinary shopping experience into something creative, fun, unique, and shareable. And again, the shareable part is what helps you and helps the business. What can businesses offer you? We've talked about publicity. I can't emphasize enough the fact that you're going to get a new venue, a place to rally your people, to convene your people that isn't a boring meeting room. It's not the classroom or the office. It's a place that's actually out in the community. People enjoy going, and so you have the opportunity to engage people and really get them in a different mindset. Volunteers and expertise probably goes without saying, and really a healthy community. If nonprofits are doing their own thing on one side of town and businesses and business owners are doing their own thing on another side of town, there's a huge disconnect. We're all living and working in the same place. And if we really want to build healthy communities, we've got to be crossing these boundaries. We've got to be going across sectors, going across neighborhoods and populations. And so nonprofits, partnering with businesses is a great place to start. And then
Dan,
that final, sure.
Yeah, I took the liberty of asking everybody this question as well. And a couple things that they said were storefront visibility, in-kind donations, and connections to other businesses.
Awesome, exactly. It can, it can spiral. There was research that just came out this week, actually, that talked about the science of giving. It's in the New York Times, and the mentality that goes along with pay it forward. And part of what I took away from that research was if you start that cycle, that pay it forward cycle, and do something interesting and fun for a business, they're a lot more excited to get other people involved, bring in other businesses and folks. And this number at the bottom of the screen, as someone who spent most of my career raising money for nonprofits as a development officer, this is what I focused on. I actually did not focus on the $300 billion that goes to charity every year. I focused on the fact that more than $500 billion is spent by companies on advertising. And so if you can kind of steal that bucket of money from companies and present yourself as a publicity or advertising kind of partner, you've got a whole new world. Who would not rather give a charity money than a coupon advertiser or something even less desirable? So that's why I focus so much on presenting yourself as a partner. Just a few examples, you already touched on them. You've got a huge storefront, could be turned into a big billboard for your organization. If you're working with entrepreneurship, people selling things, students and young people gaining experience as entrepreneurs, where do you put those products? Why not in a local business? Things that you're growing, things that you're making, it gives the business owner something unique to sell and to talk about, and again, a way for you to raise visibility and funds. Percentage of sales, that's what I focus on with Causetown, but it's not a new concept. It's just one that if you present yourself as, hey, would you be willing to, on Global Youth Service Day, donate a percentage of sales to us if we can get 50 people to shop or dine here? The answer is almost always going to be yes, but that's how you have to present it. We're going to bring all these folks here. Are you willing to donate? And then the obvious apprenticeship, mentorship kinds of things. So a few things to keep in mind. It's not all about you or your cause. Think of being invited to someone's home or a party. If you're a guest, you want to bring gifts. You want to make those people happy. And I'm not suggesting that in literal terms, but the point is you want to focus on how to make this exciting, fun, and easy for your business partner, your potential business partner. And a lot of times what that means is pretend that whatever program you want it to happen is already in place. And for some people, they don't go to this length, but for me, 9 times out of 10, this has worked. I spent a lot of time coming up with the name of the program, coming up with the documents that we'd be handing out. If there's going to be a poster, here's the poster. If we're going to be signing people up, here's the letter they're going to get. All of the materials that kind of go with this program so that you can walk in and say, I've got a great idea. Why don't we, during spring break, have students donate their meals to benefit alternative spring break volunteer groups? It doesn't really cost the food service company anything. It's easy for them to do. You've come up with a name that they can run to the media with. It's clever and catchy. You've figured out how all the details will work and thought everything through so they can see that you're serious and reliable. They're more likely to say yes. Now, that doesn't mean that you leave no flexibility. The purpose for going in prepared as if it were already in place is so that if they just want to check the box, boom, you're done. You're not getting caught up having to go back and forth over small details that no one really cares about. But that can really throw things off if you let them get in the way. Well, what time of day will this happen? And how many people are going to be needed? And what kinds of equipment do you need? Am I going to have special staffing? How much is this going to cost? All of these questions you could have thought through, prepared, so that the business, the real conversation is only around how do we make this bigger, funner, cooler, more interesting. And then again, you're not asking for charity. You're a partner. Charity is almost just a kicker. Speak in a language that businesses understand. So dollars and cents, customers, awareness, publicity, those kinds of things. What is in it for them? You really just need to spell that out. So I'll take a pause, and I'll tell you about Causetown, which is basically a tool that we created to make it easy for businesses to give a percentage of sales to charity. We tried to take the thinking out of it, the operational burden out of it, streamline it as much as possible for nonprofits and businesses. But before we kind of shift into that specific tool, I want to pause and just make sure there are no questions that have come up as I've been talking, questions or thoughts.
Yeah, we have one quick question, Dan. And that's from Julia. Should we ask for in-kind donations directly or from that store, or should they go to another kind of branch of that business if they're part of a chain or something like that?
Sure. So great question. The first step is figuring out what you actually need. If a business donating a 30-foot red carpet to you is actually more valuable than then giving you a $25 gift certificate for your charity auction, you should be asking for that in-kind donation. And in most cases, in-kind donations are easier for a business than cash donations, especially if they're not tied to sales. That being said, one of the biggest things you want to do is figure out who is the person that's making the decision. I focus on local businesses because they often don't have rigid programs. They have the time to, they live in the community, they work in the community. So if you're a community-based nonprofit, getting on their radar and being able to be in front of them and not just be a piece of paper is helpful. So I'd encourage talking to a business owner, doing it in person. That is 10 times more effective than phone, which is 10 times more effective than writing, which is 10 times more effective than email. So always try to show up in person, ask to speak with an owner or manager, have your materials ready so that you can leave them behind, but have a very succinct pitch of what you're going to offer to that business, what you're requesting of them, how you're going to promote it, and why you need it. And then leave something very succinct behind so that if they're not ready to say yes on the spot, they can look it over, and then you can follow up a few days later. If you are approaching a big chain, then leave several weeks of lead time. Most of them require at least a month, some of them 8 weeks, and in a few cases more than that. They have a very formal process. So you can, a lot of these you can find online. Home Depot as an example, you can apply for gift cards and things like that online, and you're compared against a lot of other organizations. But even with big chains, they often have local discretion. So you can get lucky by going, and the local manager may have a certain allocation of products or cash that they can give out. But you typically always want to ask for the manager or the owner and have something in writing.
Great. The other question that we received was, what if they say no on the first time? What do you do as soon as they give you that no? And how long do you wait until you maybe ask again on a different day?
That's a great question. You're going to hear no probably 8 or 9 times out of 10. That's just how it is. And the reason for that is you are literally one of 200 or 300 charities approaching that same business. I have there's one local restaurant owner here in Alexandria that they receive over 1,000 requests every single year. And even some of the smaller retailers and furniture stores, places like that, it's not unusual for them to receive 20 or 30 requests every week. And so, they literally cannot afford to give handouts, to give donations. And so that's why if you present yourself as requesting donations tied to sales or purchases, you're going to be a lot more successful. But if that is still a no, I'd encourage you to thank the business, stay in touch with them throughout the year. A thank you can work wonders. Show them the great things that you're doing. Show them how your work connects to theirs. On social media, comment on what they're posting. If they're active on Facebook or Twitter, your nonprofit could be responding to them. Because just like any other advertising, they start realizing, wait a second, Right to Read, I know that name from somewhere. Well, yeah, they're always retweeting us. They're always sharing our posts. They're always providing great content. Then when that letter comes along or that solicitation comes along, they're going to be more likely to give. But depending on the circumstance, I would definitely not make a request, a follow-up request, in less than a few months. I would probably only try to, unless you have something very new, interesting, a big festival or an event, follow up with that business when you have that. But if it's just a standard request, I'd say every 6 to 12 months. So the key is until you have something to offer in exchange as shared value, I probably would hold off on the request to begin with.
That's really great.
So that brings me to this.
Oh, can you try again, Dan? You just went away and came back.
Sure, sorry about that. So that just brings me to the point where you have to speak their language. Don't ask for a donation. Present yourself as a partner. And so what Causetown did is we know that businesses have certain days of the week that they're slow, and they're typically every business, restaurants especially, but every kind of business, there are days of the week and times of the day during which they're dead. But they're still paying for the building and the lights and the utilities and the parking and the staff. And so if you can bring customers to them during those slower times, they're going to be more likely and able to give a percentage of the proceeds to you. And so Causetown makes it simple for a business to say any day of the week, any time of the day, or frankly every day of the year, we're going to offer 20% of purchases to any charity customers choose. All they have to do is mention Causetown. In some cases, they'll proactively tell customers, hey, it's Causetown Day. But in other cases, we're positioning it as an alternative to a coupon. So, hey, instead of sending out a coupon with a discount that attracts one type of person, why don't you offer a percentage of purchases to charity, which attracts community-minded customers, and allow every customer to pick their own cause, any of the 1.5 million registered with the IRS, and we'll handle all the details. And that's, in fact, what they do. So, on the right-hand side of your screen, you see Donna out in a small town in Kansas had one of her best weekday sales ever by just giving 20% of purchases to any charity customers chose. On the left-hand side is a newer user of Causetown, an independent bookstore in Alexandria. Every Monday, they'll give to any school or youth-oriented cause that you choose. All you have to do is mention their Hooray for Schools promotion or mention Causetown. So if you think about all the gifts that we're buying, all of the products that we're purchasing for ourselves and for others, it's actually $4 trillion worth of stuff. We, as Americans alone, spend $4 trillion shopping and dining. And I know we've got folks from other parts of the country, and the global numbers are even more staggering. But the point is, we spend more than 10 times as much on ourselves than we do giving to charity. And so if we can connect the dots with businesses and with our supporters and the general public, get people shopping and dining with the businesses that are giving back, not only are we going to raise more funds for good causes, it'll build community at the same time. So here's what we're doing for Global Youth Service Day. If you go to causetown.org/GYSD, it should take you to our campaign page. Right now, we're in the process of signing up businesses, obviously over the next few weeks and through April, that are agreeing to give a percentage of sales to any charity customers choose. You, as a 501c3, are automatically on, quote unquote, the list. We always get this question, well, how does my charity become eligible? You're automatically eligible because we're tapped into the IRS database. All that a customer needs to do is mention you at the register. We provide flyers. You can print those out from the campaign page. You can send them around to your supporters. You'll see there's a little line that they can indicate a charity name. You can put yours on there and then send it around to people and just say, hey, hand in this flyer when you make a purchase. It's not required. It just helps for people to have something in their hands usually. And so what happens after that is the business reports that purchase amount and the charity selection to us, and then we invoice the businesses, collect those funds, and send it out to all the recipient organizations. So there's reporting for everybody involved. So again, causetown.org/GYSD, and you can see that campaign page. All you have to do as a nonprofit, and this is what I encourage each of you to do, takes maybe 20 seconds, click the button that says Count Me In and pick I'm a nonprofit, just to make sure we've got your correct contact information in our system. Once you register, you'll also be on our list to receive sample social media messages, flyers, and other updates on business promotions that are happening so that you can turn coffee into a fundraiser. A local coffee shop is offering 20% to charity as of St. Elmo's in Alexandria. Well, what better time to stock up on coffee grounds or take someone out for a coffee meeting. So we'll keep you up to speed on that kind of stuff if you register, and then you also get access to reporting. Once a business creates an event in our system, we automatically push it out to Eventbrite and a bunch of community calendars and a variety of other online media. So at the bare minimum, they're getting some promotion. They also get their own web page. So they can share that event page with their customers. They can promote it themselves. And they can customize it with whatever text or images that they want. So again, we just try to make it easy and turnkey for them to promote their charitable activities. And they can also print out flyers just like you and I can. As I mentioned, this just shows you what the map looks like. If you were to drill down on a city, it's going to give you the details of what that business is doing. People can search by location or by keyword or anything else, through the campaign page or just by going to causetown.org. As I mentioned, we handle all the details. So you as a nonprofit can see all of the purchases that have benefited you. Businesses can see all the nonprofits that their customers support. And individuals, if they provide an email address or a mobile phone number, will get a message back saying, hey, thanks for shopping or dining with this business. You generated X dollars for your favorite cause. They've got a record to show that it actually counted. So I'll end the kind of formal presentation and happy to stick around with more questions on Causetown or on business partnerships in general. So as I mentioned, I'd encourage you to register at causetown.org/GYSD. It's free. Causetown's always free for nonprofits. And then once you log in, if you share the campaign page, or frankly any other page inside the system, share that with businesses in your neighborhood. If they register, they'll be added to the campaign page and promoted nationally as well. And all you're asking them to do is offer a percentage of purchases during Global Youth Service Day. We're happy to help them figure out a promotion or an angle that works best for them once they once they contact us or once they register a promotion, we take over from there and provide them with samples and materials, flyers, all of that kind of stuff. So, but you're the one that knows which businesses could use support in your town, and which are the most community-minded that would love being a part of this. The main thing I would encourage is, if you're already going to be doing some things with Global Youth Service Day, you need a place to go eat or hang out after you volunteered, or if you're looking for an avenue for advocacy or raising awareness for your cause and your messages, think of a local business, performing, all of those things that we talked about earlier. Regardless of whether you use Causetown, I'd encourage you to kind of reach across the aisle, break down those boundaries, partner with local businesses, and feel free to let us know if we can be of any help. My email's up on the screen. You can visit causetown.org, and we'll help you in any way that we can. So with that, I thank Catherine and the Youth Service America team, and thank all of you for what you're going to be doing next month as part of Global Youth Service Day.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan. We already have questions coming in, so I'm just going to get started. And this is kind of a two-part question. The first piece doesn't have to do with Causetown, and the second does. So Sanika asks, what does she do if she doesn't yet have a 501c3 nonprofit status from the IRS, but they're in the process of getting that? Many of the businesses that she'll approach want to write off what they donate. So how does she deal with that right now?
Sure. So Causetown, I have to, the attorneys have us preface this by saying that we're not tax advisors. So it's not, we encourage businesses and nonprofits to consult their own folks. But that being said, most businesses actually deduct Causetown promotions as a marketing expense because they're getting something in return. They're getting customers in return. And so there's a little more flexibility in terms of 501c3s and fiscally sponsored groups. We typically restrict recipients to be 501c3 charities because we want the money going to good causes. But if you're a startup organization or some other type of nonprofit, you can register at Causetown and select that you have a fiscal sponsor. And if you don't have a local charity vouching for you in that capacity, just send us a note and we'll see if we can help you out. There's usually a community foundation or other nonprofit that could receive the funds on your behalf and redirect them to you.
Great. That actually answered kind of my second part of the question. So thank you. And as an additional piece of that, what do you do if a young person is trying to ask for those promotions? Do you need to give them kind of that 501c3 status paper or that documentation, or how does that normally work?
If you're, maybe if the question can be clarified, so if the leaders of a nonprofit are empowering a youth volunteer to approach a business on their behalf, is that the scenario?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, with any volunteer, having information about the charity is helpful, and showing the tax ID number is helpful. So if you've got the IRS determination letter, great. Otherwise, ideally, the materials that the nonprofit has have that number printed on it. But again, if you're going through Causetown, we can actually provide you with a flyer that describes the percentage of sales mechanism that Causetown provides, and then what happens is customers will mention you at the register, businesses report that into the Causetown system, they write one check to Causetown regardless of whether 1,000 different charities were picked by different customers, and then we'll disperse the funds out to you. And so you would already have been registered with Causetown, so there's no additional paperwork needed. But if it's an everyday donation that's not connected to Causetown, I would definitely encourage volunteers going around with a letter that includes the tax ID number of the nonprofit.
Yeah, great. That's a great question as well, or sorry, answer. The next question we have is, the profile page references a referral link to send to businesses, but we don't see it on our page, or probably the page that we're looking at via our web browser. Is that referral link still active, or?
Yeah, so once you register as a nonprofit, you will get a referral code. That's actually your profile page. And when you first start off, when you log into the system and click on My Profile, you'll see up in your browser, it's basically a bunch of gobbledygook. It'll say causetown.org/CT/ a bunch of numbers and letters. You can submit a request, and we will customize that for you. So you can change Q123SP3NC to RCC Preschool. So we'll create that for you, and then when you recruit businesses and they register with your code, RCC Preschool, or that gobbledygook letters and numbers, we will know that you recruited that business. The benefit of that is you're then automatically put up as the recommended charity. Whenever there's a transaction and customers have the option to choose a charity at that location, it's always going to say, using my example, would you like to benefit RCC Preschool or search for a different charity? So you've got some benefit there. And then the way that Causetown keeps its lights on is we typically charge fees to businesses. They pay $39 a month, or they pay a percentage of sales that are generated, 3% of sales that are generated. For Global Youth Service Day, we're waiving that. But in a normal day, if we were collecting fees from businesses, we would actually share 20% of that with the nonprofits that recruited them. So there's some additional benefit to that referral code thing, but it's not a required field when businesses register or when nonprofits register.
Great, that really clarified it. Melissa said that she had not requested the URL, so thank you.
Sure.
We have another question. So if there are several charities mentioned by customers at the business, do you send a check to each nonprofit that they mentioned, or just one check to the nonprofit that coordinated the Causetown donation?
Sure, great question. So basically what will happen, I'm going to pull up our campaign page. There are actually two options. You can mention the name of the charity at the register. The business will submit that to us through the website. Or you can just provide your email or phone number, and Causetown will send you a link to choose your charity later. Regardless of when you chose or designate the organization, the business writes a check to Causetown. And as a nonprofit, you can log in and see whether we've received those funds already, whether we're waiting on the funds, whether we've dispersed the funds. You can actually see the date of the check that was sent to you. So there's complete transparency into that process. But the funds are coming from Causetown to the recipient charities, not from the business. Doesn't have to write 100 different checks. That's one of the headaches that we remove, and why they're more willing to do these kinds of things more often.
Great, that's really helpful. Thank you. So it looks like we should probably wrap up since we're just before 3 o'clock. But one last thing, Dan, and what are the 3 next steps people should take after this webinar?
Sure. So if you already have a Global Youth Service Day project in mind, I would just think about how can you use a local business as an alternative venue to promote what you're doing or to partner. That's the biggest one. The other would be register with Causetown. If you haven't done it already, just go to causetown.org/GYSD and then talk to local businesses. It literally, they can be signed up on the spot. We're having new businesses join the campaign every day. And if you really are interested in reaching out, to put it in perspective, we had over 300 that participated in a holiday campaign called Shift Your Shopping. And so that was from coast to coast, all over the country. Certainly those businesses, if you wanted to go and personally invite them, they're likely to say yes. So talk to a business and see if they're interested in supporting what you're doing, but again, present yourself as a partner.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for joining, and Dan for taking the time today to talk to us a little bit about how nonprofits can better work with businesses. It's something that we all need to be better at, absolutely. And we will definitely be checking out your site and looking at different GYSD projects that are going on at the same time. As all other GYSD events during the weekend. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.